Let's dive into Roxie's training so we can stay consistent at home. We want to reward Roxie when she does the behaviors we're asking of her. That way we increase the rate of those behaviors. We also want to follow through with the training equipment when she does a behavior that we're not a fan of to decrease the rate of that behavior. So let's talk about her collars. I wouldn't recommend this one. I know it's easy to put on and take off, but the thing that we have here with this one is it doesn't tighten at all. So when you pull it, it doesn't really do what it's intended to do because it doesn't get smaller. Now with this one, when you do pull it, it gets smaller, creating the desired effect that we're after when using this tool. And we only need to use this to give her a reminder when she's supposed to be doing a certain behavior and she starts to not do that behavior. For example, let's talk about the heel command. Heel means walk next to us on a nice loose leash on the left-hand side. So if she's doing that, we don't have to have any pressure on the leash whatsoever. We'll reward her, tell her good heel, and reinforce that behavior. Now let's say she gets a little distracted and she tries to walk ahead of us. We're going to tell her no. So we're marking the incorrect behavior with a verbal cue, following through with a little reminder of the collar, and then giving her a verbal command to tell her, hey, these are our expectations. And she understands that heel means walks next to us because we have rewarded that behavior in the past. So the more we reward a behavior, the more she'll do that behavior for us. The more we follow through and redirect the behavior, she'll be less likely to do that behavior in the future for us. So for example, pulling ahead, no, pop the leash, heel. So when we pull and release, it makes the collar smaller, and that's going to give us the desired effect. So I'd highly recommend using this collar versus this one, since it does not get smaller when we add pressure to it. All right, moving on to her remote collar. So to turn on her part of the collar, we see a little red dot right here. That is a magnetic key. You need the matching red dot on the remote to turn on the collar. This is great because there's no buttons. You just touch the two together. You'll see a green light flash. That means the collar's on, charged, and ready to go. What I like about that feature is if Roxie is scratching, she can't turn the collar off on accident. The on-off button right here is on the remote. We're going to push and hold that big button in the middle until the screen lights up. You'll see a number 25 and you'll see the letter M. We're going to focus on the black S button. We're going to go over the rest of the features of the remote collar at the end of the video. So let's talk about how to use this to reinforce the commands that we're after when we're working with Roxie. So we're going to focus on the black S button. Let's go over heel again. Heel means walk next to us on a nice loose leash. I'd recommend 80% of the walk being in the heel command. The other 20% can be in the free or the let her explore time. So let's say she starts to walk ahead of us on the leash. That's not what we're asking. We're asking her to heel. We're going to say no, follow through with the black S button, and then give her the command again. So again, it's no, follow through, heel. No, follow through, heel. So you see my thumb twitches a little bit. It's just giving her a little signal, a little reminder of, hey, you're not supposed to be pulling. You're supposed to be walking next to me. This is also important that we reward when she is doing the behavior that we're asking, because it's a nice balanced way to reinforce what we want and redirect what we don't. So let's go over the rest of the commands and how we're going to use the training. So for example, sit. Sit means stay until she's told free or heel. So for example, door manners, when we come up to a door, we're going to have her sit. We can open the door, we can go through the door, whatever we want to do. Then we can either heel through the door with her, or we can tell her free and go through the door, whatever makes sense for us. But if she gets up from that sit stay, we're going to say no and follow through. If she stays, we're going to praise at minimum, or we can reward depending on the level of distraction. Then we have down. Down means lay down and stay. So she has to lay all the way down. Now with a down stay, and I'm going to talk about this in the play stay too, we don't release from a distance. We always go back to her, tell her she did a good job with treats, praise, petting, and then we tell her free to release. So again, free is that release term. If she's not in a set command or behavior, she is free to get up, free to walk around. She is released from that command. So we put her in a down. We do our distractions, we walk around, we always go back to her, tell her good down, reward, and then tell her free. We don't free from a distance. If she gets up before we say free, or at any time she doesn't lay down when we ask, we're going to say no and follow through. Now in certain situations, sometimes you use just the Prong collars sometimes use just the remote collar. It depends. So if there's more distractions, you might need to use both. If she just needs a little reminder, maybe one or the other. It just depends on the situation. Whatever is going to get the signal across that she needs to go back into that position. So then we have place. Place is going to be a great command when you're having guests come over. It's a boundary, stay on a bed. So as long as all 4 feet are on the boundary, she is on place. She can stand, sit, or lay down as long as she doesn't get off the boundary before we say free. Again, we don't free from a distance. We always go back to her, tell her she did a good job, and then we release her from the command. When you reward with down or place, you want to put the treat low on place. I'd rather you put it on the bed. That way she understands that the bed is the positive zone. The bed is where she wants to be. Again, reinforcement, reward history. What a reward history is, it's a positive association with doing a certain behavior or command by getting rewarded for it over and over. So we want to create that reward history at home with the training as well. So let's move on to come when called. So when we practice this, we're not going to put Roxie in a sit stay, back up 20 feet, and then call her to us. That's great, that's easy, but we want to practice for real world experiences. So we're going to tell her free. We're going to give her that release command and have her explore. When she's not paying attention to us, that's when we're going to call her back to us. We're going to say, Roxie, come, praise as she runs to us, have her sit, and then reward. Now, if she doesn't listen to the command, if she doesn't come back when we call, we're going to say no, follow through, repeat the command. Same thing with place. If she gets off the bed, say no, follow through, put her back on the bed. So there's always a reaction to her action. If she does what we're asking, we're going to reward that. If she breaks the command, we're going to follow through and reinforce it with the training equipment. Then we have leave it. Leave it just means don't grab that off the floor. So if we drop something and she shows interest in it, we're going to say leave it. And if she still shows interest, we're going to follow through with the collar. Again, we want to balance out, reward the behaviors we want to keep seeing, use the training equipment to decrease the rate of behaviors that we don't want to see anymore. So those are the commands for Roxie. You want to have fun, stay consistent, and now we're going to show you Roxie's commands in action. Sit. Good. Heel. Down, down, good, down, good, down, good, down. Good, down. Good, down. Good girl. Good, down. Good girl. Free. Good job. Let's go over the rest of the features of the remote collar. So we know how to turn the collars on or turn the collar on and turn the remote on. Let's talk about how to turn it off. So the on-off button in the middle, we're going to push and hold that and the screen is going to say OF and then it's going to go blank. So that's how you turn it off. We'll turn it back on. Again, same button on and off. You have to push and hold it. So how to turn the collar off? We're going to touch the magnets together again. Pretty simple, same way on, same way off. So red is off, green is on. When the battery is running low on this, it will flash an orange or a red light. So don't get that confused with it turning on and off. It's just running low on the battery. We'll talk about that here soon too. So let's talk about this red button. This is for emergencies only. This is going to add a number of levels to the level on the screen in a boost sort of way. So basically, the reason we would ever use this with Roxie is, let's say she, for whatever reason, runs towards the road. She is in a different mode. She is amped up. Her adrenaline's pumping. She's running for the road. We call her, Roxie, no, Roxie, come, and we are reminding her to come back to us, and she's just not having it. This is going to snap her back, because when she's in that elevated state of mind, level 25 is only getting to right here, where the boost is going to increase the level, and you'll see it here. It's going to increase to snap her back to reality and put the brakes on. We have not needed this for Roxie, but you have that feature in case you want it. So just to give you a heads up, that's what the red button is for, emergencies only. The T button over here is vibrate. You can use this later on as a warning, and I'm talking a few months down the road when Roxie's doing pretty well, but she needs a little reminder like, hey, you know what you're supposed to be doing. But don't use this too much in the beginning, because we want to make sure we establish the rules and boundaries very clearly. And the vibrate is more like counting to 3. So we're being a little too lenient in the beginning. But again, we can use this later on as a little reminder or a little warning once we've established the clear boundaries. I also like to push this before I put the collar on Roxie. That way I know the collar's on, charged, and ready to go. The on-off button back here is also a flashlight feature. So if you tap instead of pushing and holding it, you will activate the flashlight versus turning the remote off. So tap, tap, tap again. Now let's talk about the dial. So this is the dial that adjusts the level. See how nothing's moving? It's because this 1D is solid. Now to unlock this, we're going to push down and hold it. Now the level can be adjusted. So with Roxie's young age, she might have to have the level adjusted a little bit depending on the environment and the distractions, because she's still learning and growing because she's pretty young. So let's say 25 is just not redirecting the behavior. She's still doing the goofy stuff. And hey, like we've pushed this a couple times, she's not really responding. Well, first we need to make sure that it's turned on, but we also want to make sure, is the level appropriate for the situation? If not, we'll bump it up. If it seems like it's too much, we'll bump it down. Right now, level 25 seems to be what's working for her. So you'll set the dial to the level that you want it at, push down and hold it, and then it should be locked to where you can't accidentally turn it up or down when she's, when you have it around your neck or in your hoodie pocket or wherever it is. This little M/C button stands for momentary and continuous. You do not need to change that. We are past the continuous stage. Back in the beginning of training, we would have it on continuous at a very low level to show her that if she does the behavior, the stimulation would go away and she would get a treat. So we paired it with a treat, the feeling of the stimulation, but we don't need to do that anymore, because now she will only feel the stim if she doesn't do the command. This is rechargeable, so I would recommend charging it every other night as long as you turn it off at night. She can wear this about 10 to 12 hours a day. Take it off at night. It is waterproof, so she can go swimming with it. The charging port is under here. So first thing in the morning, we want to put this on Roxie because she needs to wear it all day so that we have the ability to communicate with her. If not, what's going to happen is she's going to become collar savvy. Collar savvy means she's only going to listen when she knows this collar's on, and nobody wants that. When we put it on her, I recommend having the light facing out and putting it slightly off center. I don't recommend right in the center, but slightly off center. And then with her long hair, combing the hair out from underneath of it. That way the prongs make good connection to her skin. Now this does have to fit pretty snug, but it does have a bungee, so it has a little bit of give. But you should only be able to fit 1 to 2 fingers under the collar because the contact points need to make connection with her skin. Plus, we don't want it loose and rubbing. That'll create irritation. Back to it being waterproof. If she goes swimming with this on, that's fine, but we want to make sure that we dry the area underneath the collar thoroughly, because with the moisture and it being snug, we don't want bacteria to grow and create like a hot spot or something. So make sure she takes this off. Very convenient strap for on and off. She already has the long extender prongs because she has long hair, so it came with it, and I went ahead and changed them out. Let's go over the contents inside the box. So this little tool is the tool I use to change the extender prongs from the original ones. They're still in here in the little bag. They're shorter, but with her long hair, I put the longer ones on so it could weave through the hair easier. This is the original strap that the collar came with. And then of course we have the charging station, I guess, the charging cord to charge both the remote and the collar at the same time. Again, it should last about 2 days on a charge. I would charge it every other night as long as you're keeping the collar on during the day and turning it off at night. That way it saves the charge. Again, 10 to 12 hours a day. Under here, all the instructions if you want to go over the buttons in greater detail, but we did pretty much cover everything. This collar has a 2-year full warranty, so if anything happens to it in the next 2 years, you can call them and they can help you figure it out or get a replacement. All right, so that's the rest of the info with the remote collar. Of course, this is all about balance. We want to make sure we reward the behaviors we want to see from Roxie, follow through the training equipment to decrease the rate of behaviors that we don't want to see from Roxie. Have fun, stay consistent, and let us know if you have any questions.